First, have a definite, clear practical ideal, a goal, an objective. Second, have the necessary means to achieve your ends, wisdom, money, materials, and methods. Third, adjust all your means to that end. True happiness comes from gaining insight and growing into your best possible self. Otherwise, all you're having is immediate gratification pleasure, which is fleeting and doesn't grow you as a person. Wicked men obey out of fear. Good men, out of love. Find the good. Seek the unity. Ignore the divisions among us. Courage is the mother of all virtues because without it, you cannot consistently perform the others. Character is revealed through action. If you see a man approaching with the obvious intent of doing you good, run for your life. Consider pleasures as they depart, not as they come. Before you heal the body, you must first heal the mind. Excellence is an art won by training and habituation. What is the essence of life? To serve others and to do good. The energy of the mind is the essence of life. Your happiness depends on you alone. Whatever we learn to do, we learn by actually doing it. Men come to be builders. For instance, by building, and harp players by playing the harp. In the same way, by doing just acts we come to be just, by doing self-controlled acts. We come to be self-controlled, and by doing brave acts, we become brave. Anybody can become angry, that is easy. But to be angry with the right person and to the right degree and at the right time and for the right purpose, and in the right way, that is not within everybody's power and is not easy. I count him braver who overcomes his desires than him who conquers his enemies, for the hardest victory is over self. The aim of the wise is not to secure pleasure, but to avoid pain. The most perfect political community is one in which the middle class is in control and outnumbers both of the other classes. No great mind has ever existed without a touch of madness. There is nothing unequal as the equal treatment of unequals. The man who is content to live alone is either a beast or a god. Authority is no source for truth. Happiness belongs to the self-sufficient. The best way to avoid envy is to deserve the success you get. Youth is easily deceived because it is quick to hope. What you have to learn to do, you learn by doing. Man is a goal-seeking animal. His life only has meaning if he is reaching out and striving for his goals. Love well. Be loved and do something of value. Fortune favors the bold. When there is no middle class, and the poor greatly exceed in number, troubles arise, and the state soon comes to an end. It is not enough to win a war, it is more important to organize the peace. The character which results from wealth is that of a prosperous fool. Nature creates nothing without a purpose. Through discipline comes freedom. The society that loses its grip on the past is in danger, for it produces men who know nothing but the present, and who are not aware that life had been, and could be, different from what it is. The best things are placed between extremes. Worthless persons appointed to have supreme control of weighty affairs do a lot of damage. You are what you repeatedly do. The greatest thing by far is to be a master of metaphor. It is the one thing that cannot be learned from others, and it is also a sign of genius. Since a good metaphor implies an intuitive perception of the similarity of the dissimilar. The greatest of all pleasures is the pleasure of learning. Teenagers these days are out of control. They eat like pigs. They are disrespectful of adults. They interrupt and contradict their parents. And they terrorize their teachers. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. He overcomes a stout enemy who overcomes his own anger. Happiness involves engagement in activities that promote one's highest potentials. Knowledge of the fact differs from knowledge of the reason for the fact. It is not sufficient to know what one ought to say, but one must also know how to say it. Saying the words that come from knowledge is no sign of having it. Music directly represents the passions of the soul. If one listens to the wrong kind of music, he will become the wrong kind of person. Republics decline into democracies and democracies degenerate into despotisms. The man who is truly good and wise will bear with dignity whatever fortune sends, and will always make the best of his circumstances. Whosoever is delighted in solitude is either a wild beast or a god. The quality of life is determined by its activities. To love someone is to identify with them. The tyrant, who in order to hold his power, suppresses every superiority, does away with good men, forbids education and light, controls every movement of the citizens and, keeping them under a perpetual servitude, wants them to grow accustomed to baseness and cowardice, has his spies everywhere to listen to what is said in the meetings, and spreads dissension and calumny among the citizens and impoverishes them. is obliged to make war in order to keep his subjects occupied and impose on them permanent need of a chief. Speech is the representation of the mind, and writing is the representation of speech. All paid jobs absorb and degrade the mind. Love is composed of a single soul inhabiting two bodies. He who has never learned to obey cannot be a good commander. Wise people have an inward sense of what is beautiful, and the highest wisdom is to trust this intuition and be guided by it. Virtue means doing the right thing, in relation to the right person, at the right time, to the right extent, in the right manner, and for the right purpose. Thus, to give money away is quite a simple task. But for the act to be virtuous, the donor must give to the right person, for the right purpose, in the right amount, in the right manner, and at the right time. The beauty of the soul shines out when a man bears with composure one heavy mischance after another, not because he does not feel them, but because he is a man of high and heroic temper. Our characters are the result of our conduct. Those who cannot bravely face danger are the slaves of their attackers. Poverty is the parent of revolution and crime. They, young people, have exalted notions, because they have not been humbled by life or learned its necessary limitations. Moreover, their hopeful disposition makes them think themselves equal to great things, and that means having exalted notions. They would always rather do noble deeds than useful ones. Their lives are regulated more by moral feeling than by reasoning. All their mistakes are in the direction of doing things excessively and vehemently. They overdo everything. They love too much, hate too much, and the same with everything else. Patience is bitter, but its fruit is sweet. We become just by the practice of just actions, self-controlled by exercising self-control, and courageous by performing acts of courage. It is impossible, or not easy, to alter by argument what has long been absorbed by habit. Well begun is half done. We are the sum of our actions, and therefore our habits make all the difference. What we expect, that we find. It is a part of probability that many improbable things will happen. You can never learn anything that you did not already know. If men are given food, but no chastisement nor any work, they become insolent. Art is a higher type of knowledge than experience. Health is a matter of choice, not a mystery of chance.